The following podcast contains strong language like what the actual fuck.
Scarecrow Festival is like the most important day of the year. What? Daft cow?
This is just ridiculous. What the actual fuck?
Hey, what the actual fuckers, and welcome to WTAF, a This Country podcast. First, he's the man that has been bouncing back and forth like Flubber from the film Flubber. It's Neil.
It's not the first time I've been called that name. Oh, Flubber, you said.
Yes.
Thought you meant blubber.
No. I wouldn't say something. I have no position to say something like that, Neil.
Oh, bless you.
Now, our special superfan guest for our 150th episode is a TV and radio presenter and was one of the original presenters alongside Chris Evans for the groundbreaking Channel 4 show, The Big Breakfast. She also once presented a show for a full 28 hours to see in the year 2000. That's according to Wikipedia. Let's hope this interview doesn't feel that long for her. Please welcome the one and only for our 150th episode, Gaby Roslin. Yay!
You know what? It was 28 and a half hours.
Was it? Well, I know we're going to talk about This Country, but I want to start off with that.
Yeah, of course we are. Of course we are. That's why I'm here.
But you know what Wikipedia is like, and I hate it when I have to do a little bit of research and you have to go to Wikipedia because like anybody can put anything on there about people. And I looked at that and I thought, nah, that's someone just taking the mick. That can't be true.
Yes, I did.
So, were you on screen for 28 hours or 28 and a half?
28 and a half. Yes, from the minute we went on air to see the new year in, and I had different co-hosts with me, so different male co-hosts, but I did the whole thing straight through. And even we went off air, I think we weren't off air, but we did a link to Saturday morning kids telly on the Saturday morning. And whilst that was happening, I was in the studio pre-recording the highlights package. So yes, I was fully on, and then I came off. I don't drink booze anymore, but those days I did, and I had about 2 sips of champagne, and I was buggered. I literally, I got so drunk on 2 sips because I hadn't sat down. I'd been talking for 28 and a half hours, and I remember and then thinking, all I want is some chips. And we went everywhere because it was New Year's Day on the Millennium. There was nowhere open. So I sort of fell asleep, absolutely out.
What did you have to do to prepare for that long, Gaby?
Not a lot. I like ad-libbing and I never stop talking. So we might talk for 28 and a half hours. But weirdly, at the very beginning of the show, we were about 10 minutes in, and my first co-host was Michael Parkinson. And I got to work with Michael Parkinson and Michael Palin and Hugh Edwards and all sorts of people. But about 15 minutes in, I got in my earpiece, because you have earpieces on live telly, and they said, "Oh, Gaby, all the cameras have gone down around the world, so you can't go to script, so can you just ad-lib?" And in my head, I thought, oh my God, I've got to ad-lib for the next 28 hours. What the hell am I doing? We got some of the cameras working again, and we went all around the world. So we got all the first, the midnights all around the world. It was an incredible thing to be a part of.
Absolutely.
I can remember watching, I think it was Australia that was first. It's always Australia that's first, isn't it? I think, because of the time differences and stuff. And when it became year 2000, I got very emotional for some reason. I don't normally celebrate New Year's Eve. It's just one of those things that isn't done in our family as such. But it was weird that 2000, I don't know whether it's because the millennium bug, everything's going to crash and
nothing happened.
And nothing happened. Well, apart from all your cameras not working. Obviously, that was...
Yeah, but that wasn't the millennium bug. I think that was just somebody who didn't plug in a camera.
So when you're doing something like that, like Neil said, there's no sort of training for it. Is it just the adrenaline that gets you through those 28 and a half hours?
I do it every day if I could, because I love it. I love live television. There is nothing quite as fantastic. So it was adrenaline. I was drinking chamomile tea and eating bananas. So that's what got me through it, really. Very rock and roll, not.
Very rock.
And how long was the recovery afterwards then, Gabby?
I woke up that night, so I fell asleep. We came off air about lunchtime or something, and then I had my 2 sips of champagne, came off air, and remember speaking to my agent, lovely, lovely man, speaking to him about 8 o'clock that evening, and he was saying, how did it all go? And it was just like a blur. And then I got very upset because I said, can I do it again tomorrow, please? I loved it so much. And he told me I was completely mad. But I did. I loved it.
That's awesome. That really is.
Right. There's loads of other stuff we want to talk about, but let's get on to This Country. How did you first find out about the show?
I watched the trails going out on the BBC, and then lockdown happened. So I'm absolutely... I fell into watching them all when lockdown happened. So we'd seen a few, and I was obsessed. And I saw some of the last series first, and thought, this is fantastic. And then said to my husband, "You've got to watch this." And he was like, "Yeah," but I went, "No, come on. The end of the evening, we're going to watch this." And then that was the first night, and then every single night we watched all of them every night. And we went through all the seasons, and then we went all the way back again, and then we go to our favorites, and he and I both have exactly the same favorite, but we loved it. We lapped it up, and it was, I know it sounds an exaggeration, but I really think that's what got us through lockdown in the early days. And then I was very lucky to chat to Daisy a lot, and consider her a chum now, and adore her. And we did some Instagram lives, and then she was on a show I did with Hello magazine, and she's just an angel and so funny. And her her story of how, her whole thing, everything about it is brilliant. And I think her and her brother are fantastic, and that her dad is her real dad. I mean, all the stuff that and you talk about all the time on your podcast, but as a newbie to it. And then when I started reading up about it, I was going, oh my God. And I can't wait for more. She keeps promising that there's going to be more.
Well, we hope there will be. We really do. So you mentioned favourites, Gabby. Which ones are your favourites?
Well, my very favourite moment, and she knows this, and I just laugh at the minute. the shoe and the train. You see, for people who haven't seen it, I don't want no spoilers. I hate giving spoilers because I know friends of mine haven't seen it, and then I get a text from them at sort of 4 o'clock in the morning. Oh my God, I can't stop. This is brilliant. But the shoe and the train is one of the funniest things ever. And I love Vicar as well. The three of them together. Oh my God. It's beautiful. It's beautifully done. There's the poignancy and the charm and the kindness and the warmth and the humour. I mean, it's exactly my sense of humour. So I don't think there's not one weak link in it. It's brilliant. Truly brilliant.
Sorry, Gabby. I was going to say, does the situation that they're in resonate at all with you when you grew up?
No, not at all, really. I suppose it's a good thing. No, it doesn't. But I tell you, it's very funny because I've spoken to friends of mine who I mean, everybody, I talk about it on my radio show every week, and then Daisy came on to the radio show, and then I got all of my TV reviewers and everybody to watch it. And I had a few messages from people who went, oh my word, this is my life growing up. But I was London born and bred in a city. And so I suppose for me, it's very far removed. But for friends of mine, there's a particular friend of mine, which I might tell you off recording, and yet you might want to get him on this because I think he'd quite enjoy it. I know he'd really enjoy it. And he just said, oh my God, that was my childhood. That was my life. I know those people.
I was just wondering, because we've spoken to lots of people, and some of them have said, like you, that it doesn't really resonate, but it's almost like everybody seems to have known a Big Mandy type, though. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you live. Yeah. There's always someone that is like Big Mandy. I just wondered whether or not, like living in London, there is anybody in your past that is like Big Mandy.
Oh my God, there's probably lots of people like lots of them, because they actually make up bits of them all make up one person, I suppose, in many ways. But no, I'm not going to lie, and I don't really know any of the characters. I suppose the only one that I probably have met before, well, I suppose, yeah, you would come across her dad, so her dad, so you would come across him, and you probably, and the vicar. There is sort of, in over the years, you've met people like that. The kindness of, oh my God, he's just.
So were you a fan of the mockumentary style before you saw this?
Yes, yeah. I have. I mean, obviously, people always go on about The Office, but here's the thing: I think The Office makes me cringe, and I get embarrassed. And I know you're supposed to, so it does what they want it to do. But whereas this country doesn't, and you don't feel guilty laughing at them because they're in on the joke. So I suppose that's the difference. And obviously Spinal Tap, loved Spinal Tap all those years ago, and then Best in Show as well. But I suppose those are the only ones.
It was one of the things that made me laugh when it first started, after the first couple of episodes, and people didn't realise that it was a mockumentary. That on Twitter there was some criticism about how the show was making people from the Cotswolds look stupid. Yes, because they thought it was a real documentary, and it always made me. I suppose maybe because we know Daisy and Charlie, and we knew from the start that it was a comedy show. It's just weird how some people will not look at things at face value and will think that, well, this is a documentary, and this is really taking the mick out of some people. And I thought, oh my God, well, I come from the Cotswolds. I don't sound stupid, do I? Maybe I do. I don't.
Oh, I love you. You know what? I love the accent, and that is such a London thing to say, isn't it? Because we're all sort of brought up and we have a London accent, and then suddenly you get people with it. I love accents. That's a whole other conversation, but I love accents from all over the UK. I really do.
Right.
But yeah, it's funny that some people aren't quite sure. And when I told my dad, who's in his 80s, I said, Dad, you've got to watch this. And he watched it and he went, well, it's very funny, but it's not real. I mean, thank God he got the joke.
Yeah.
I went, no, it's not. He said, I can imagine some people would think it was real. I was, no, Dad, no. Yes, they do, probably, but you didn't. He went, no. Maybe for a split second he might have, and he wasn't telling me.
Yeah.
So after you saw Series 3 then, Gabby, did it give you the resolutions that you wanted, or if you wanted any?
More. More.
Okay. I mean, the thing is, now that you and Daisy are friends, this is it. You've got her ear now, so you can just keep going. You could do a lot of the fans' work.
Well, we did.
Really,
we completely did. So live, when I spoke to her twice, she said that they're going to do a Christmas special. I don't know if she just had a baby. I don't think she was thinking properly in the middle.
Yeah, it's weird because when we had them in just as Series 3 was starting, it was like the last time we had them in, and they were saying, no, that's it. We won't be doing any more. But then it was like talk about maybe in 10 years' time they go back to the village and see what has changed, or if anything has changed, or that I think would be really interesting because it gives them a chance to go off and do other things, and then to come back. I would be fascinated to see what Daisy and Kerry and Curtin are doing
I'm
after
sorry,
10 years.
No,
you're not going to wait that long, are you?
No, I'm going to stalk her. I'm going to sit outside her house. I haven't spoken to Charlie, though. Tell me about Charlie.
I mean, look, we've said it a million times. They are the sweetest family, all of them, that you could ever possibly meet. And Charlie is, like Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen, very humble. He's so humble.
Llewellyn-Bowen, yes.
He's so humble. And they're just, I don't think all of this happens in a whirl around them, I think. And I'm obviously sort of talking for them, but it feels like they don't quite understand why all this fuss is going on, because they're quite grounded, which I think is beautiful. It hasn't changed them after, 3 seasons and a special.
No, I think they're lovely.
Yeah,
they really are. I would say Charlie's not as outgoing as Daisy.
No,
when you have an interview with him, Gabby, but he's also his humour it's there. You'll see where the humour in the show comes from if you ever do get the chance to interview him. he's a joy.
Yeah, and Curtin comes out when you talk to him. Curtin comes out. It pops his head out a little bit every so often, which I think is really good. Whereas with Daisy, Daisy's just Daisy. You know, she's like this whirlwind of everything. You know, whereas you know, Charlie, every so often he'll say something. You go, that's just like Curtin would say that. That's just like Curtin. So who's your favourite character then?
Well, that's a silly question.
Well, I mean, I suppose you're going to say Kerry, aren't you? You don't want to upset Daisy.
Kerry. Well, actually, do you know what? Funnily enough, I was thinking, I knew you'd ask me, obviously, and I thought, I don't really have a favourite because I love the three of them.
Mm.
Right, and Vicar as well, but the three of them, I love the relationship. So I love that how they all work off each other. But Kerry is my favourite. But I don't want her to. I don't really have a favourite, but I love Daisy, if you see what I mean. So I think I'm going to put the three of them together because the three of them. I think the relationship is so beautiful. It's so beautiful, and there's such when Curtin comes out with those really knowledgeable, bright, intelligent answers and questions and thoughts. And I sit there with my husband and go, oh, you see, listen to him. Yeah, I love, so there's favourite bits of all of them, really.
Mm.
So I was going to say as well, if we took away Kerry then and Curtin and the supporting cast, do you have who else are your favourites? Because you've got like Len, Big Mandy, as we've mentioned. Or is it just Kerry?
It's just Kerry.
It is, isn't it?
No, it actually is. Yeah, it's interesting because you say the supporting cast. I think, like I said, there's not a weak link. I think it's all superb. So I don't want you to take any away. And, I like it just the way it is. And that's not me. That's actually, that's not me just not answering the question. I just think as a complete piece of beautifully written and performed comedy drama, I think as a complete package it's perfect.
They've never ruled out a movie. Would that be something that would appeal to you?
Yes, I don't know. Sometimes I do worry that when a movie happens of something that's so intimate that it makes it a little bit too big. I would go and see it and I'd cheer it on, and I'm sure I'd love every minute of it because every time it's finished, I don't want it to be finished. But you worry that seeing it in a cinema, it would take away the intimacy. And it is a very intimate relationship that we have with them because they're so, that seems so ridiculous because I know it's a comedy, but you get to really know those characters and you're doing it at home and they're part of your life. Whereas if you're in the cinema, and I'm a huge cinema fan, and I've got a show all about the movies, but yes, I don't know. I'm surprised you asked me, so I wasn't ready with the answer, and I don't know. There we go.
But it's also that it's the claustrophobic feeling of living in the village where Curtin seems to want to break away from that, whereas Kerry's quite happy to live in that bubble, if you want to use a term from 2020.
Yes.
Whereas, and again, I listened back to our episode where we chatted to Daisy and Charlie, and I think it was one of our older episodes, and Neil asked about a movie, and Daisy said that it's not, if you take them out of the village, it won't work.
Yeah, that's how well, there we go.
There we go.
Right things, yeah.
She answered her own question then. Daisy did.
She did. And I honestly forgot that we'd asked her that question. So there you go. We
So
can
did
stop
I.
asking people that question now.
Yeah, but she didn't rule it out of the press screening, did she? She said that it's something that they would look at. So.
Well, exactly. I mean, the thing is, they've said one thing, and then obviously they've told Gaby that there's going to be a Christmas special.
Well, no, she did. She said it live on Instagram, and then she said it on my radio show, and she said it on the thing I did with Hello Magazine. So, she was very, very up for it, and she said, well, because they know that everybody still wants more. I think you were left wanting more, which is always a good thing. Which is always a good thing in any show. You don't. I think they don't want to fail or people to fall out of love with it. I'm sure that's what their minds are thinking, but I don't think they would, and I don't think people will fall out of love with it.
I don't think so. No. We will come back to this country. I need to, if okay, to chat to you about the Big Breakfast, if that's okay. I was a massive fan of the Big Breakfast right from the very start, and it was one of those programs that seemed to change everything about morning breakfast shows. When you joined that, was that the intention, to completely sort of just wipe everyone else away and do something completely unique?
Well, it wasn't down to me, but I had my auditions for this new show, and when I was doing Saturday morning telly before that, I used to say I'd love to do this every day of the week. So when I got the call about that, I couldn't quite believe it. And then I think it sort of just happened. We had signposts and flagposts, and we knew what we were going to do, but Chris, it just developed sort of on air. I think. And Chris is a genius. To work with Chris, I don't think they actually thought, right, we're gonna go in there and we're gonna smash everything that anybody is used to. They were bringing in something daring and new, but I don't think they went in to think, right, you know what, we're coming here, out the way, everyone. It wasn't like that, no.
But it was also, the success must have been the kudos between you and Chris, because your dynamic between the pair of you was fantastic and never replicated, really, in my opinion.
Well, that's very kind. Thank you. Well, the thing is that Chris and I really did and really do get on. And really, every time I go onto his radio show, we give that funny look where we go, oh my God, we know when it's still, this is 28 years ago next week that we started it. Oh my God. But we can still, we know when each other's going to breathe and what each other is thinking. And it freaks out my family here at home, because we listen to Chris obviously in the morning, and I'll say something, and then my daughter will look at me and she'll go, Mum, listen. I go, what? So Chris just said the same thing, and it's very weird. And I'll sing a track and suddenly it will be on his show 5 minutes later. And I absolutely love him dearly and respect him hugely. And I think he's an enormous talent, and he's a good man.
Did you know Chris like before the Big Breakfast, or did you audition together, or?
No. He had it. So he did the pilot, and then the only thing I knew about Chris was that he did a kids' TV show on Saturday mornings before Saturday morning telly. So he did something very early in the morning. And then we went on air at 9:25 with Motormouth. And I remember sitting in the makeup chair and watching him, and we all laughed and thought he was very clever. And then I was called in for the audition to do a screen test with him. And then 5 screen tests later, I went back to the 5th one. And by now I so wanted to get it. And it was quite, oh my God, I've got to do it again. And then I went in for the 5th one, and we started, and then Chris stopped it and said, oh my God, just stop. Everyone stop this. This is ridiculous. Just give her the job. And I was dumbfounded. And I just sort of looked at him. I couldn't believe that he felt that, which was lovely to know. But we had that's don't know what, but we just fitted together really well.
You had some phenomenal guests on there. Highlights for yourself?
Oh my God. Tom Hanks, Billy Crystal, redoing the orgasm scene from Harry Met Sally with Billy Crystal is something I never thought would happen. Oh my God, they were all there. Everybody, every show, every film, everybody came in. And actually, one of the precious people I took with me as well was Barbara Windsor, who became a very, very, very dear friend. And I love her dearly. I love her and Scott dearly. And so lots of people that I met on the show that are still my friends to this day, people who work behind the scenes and people in front. And obviously Paul O'Grady, everybody knows that he and I are still very good friends. And we do an Insta Live every week. Through lockdown, we were together. So not together, but on through the digital airways. So it was a very, very, very special time.
I can imagine.
So when you're sat or stood on set and you're about to interview, say, Tom Hanks, And do you get nervous when, I mean, with anybody that you're interviewing? Do you ever get nervous, or are you too focused on what you've got to do and like what your first question is?
Do I ever get nervous? I don't get nervous. I get very, very excited because I, as corny as it sounds, when I was 3 years old, I wanted to be a TV presenter, and that's all I ever wanted to do all my life. And so, and I've told the story so many times, so I apologise, but it was all I wanted to do. So I watched television, I watched film, I went to the theatre, everything to do with it. And I used to think, oh, and now when I interview them, I'm going to ask them whatever it is, and I'm going to do this. But I learned over the years that the most important thing is not to have an idea of the questions beforehand, just have a conversation. And I suppose that's what I still do. And I get very excited. There's some in particular that I get very excited, and I can't say who it is, but I'm about to launch something very soon. And I just interviewed, so I've got 3 people in my my dream list, and I interviewed one of them. So for me to interview that person, I did cry afterwards.
Well, to be honest, we know how you feel because you were on our list.
Oh, don't be silly. You just had to say that.
No, I'm not going to say. I don't care.
Big liars.
I will tell you, there is a list. I have a list of about 6 or 7 names of people that I want to get on the podcast, and your name was one of the people on the list. And I'm not saying this because I'm talking to you. On it, that is on the honest.
You just made my week. Thank you.
Well, it's weird because you say about not being too prepared for interviewing people. When we started podcasting, like we said before we come on air, like 7 years ago, myself and Neil have had no experience, and we were interviewing people we weren't interviewing people before we did podcasts, but it's a thing that you learn. We hate doing loads of research because, like you say, it makes it more of a conversation if you're asking the questions and I don't know what I'm trying to say.
No, I know what you mean.
More of a conversation.
You have to know what that person's done, otherwise. Yeah. But what I always say when anybody ever asks me for advice, and they say, I want to be a TV presenter, I want to do live radio, I want to do, what advice would you give? And I always say, just listen. And also, if you prepare, the most important thing is to listen to your guest, and you're the least important person. The guest is the important one. But also, if you prepare it too much, so if you were to say to somebody, you found some research and you find out that they love a zebra. So you say to them, tell me all about your love of zebra. And they say, yeah, I love zebra, but actually the thing I really like, I love elephants. And I saw an elephant in the wild. And then you're not listening and you go, yeah, but so when was it you first saw a zebra? It's like, no, they've gone off to the elephant. You go with them with the elephant and find out that story.
So when did you like zebra?
I love them, and elephant is my favorite animal.
and again, it's funny you say that. The very first time we chatted to Paul Cooper, I think Neil had sorted the interview out. This was for another podcast, although it's on our WTAF feed. We did a podcast called Movie Heaven, a bit like Desert Island Discs, but for movies, which I believe someone else is doing one like that now, but we won't go into that.
Really?
Yeah. And it's a very successful podcast. But anyway, we're not going to go down that
It's not called Movie Heaven, is it?
It's not called Movie Heaven. No. But I didn't know what to talk to Paul about. I knew Paul, but we didn't really know anything. That was one of the funniest podcasts we ever did because it just went off on tangents that we had no idea it was going to go. Mm-hmm. And I love those ones because you could spend 2 weeks writing and preparing for something and it wouldn't be as funny as something that is just off the cuff, goes off on tangents, that you're on that same wavelength. That's the beauty, I think, of broadcasting, audio broadcasting, if you like.
So what do you do in when you're not doing this, you two?
We just have normal, boring 9-to-5 jobs.
Undercover jobs.
Yeah. I work for a picture framers and
I'm a delivery driver.
Good for you. Don't say it like that. Why do you say it like that?
Key worker. Because it's not. I was a key worker.
He's the backbone of Britain.
Oh, good for you. Did you work throughout the lockdown?
Yeah, and some.
Oh, was it for a supermarket you worked for?
Yes, yeah.
Can I ask which one, or is it a supermarket?
Let's just say...
Waitrose.
Yeah.
For
There you
Ocado
go.
or Waitrose?
Waitrose.
Right. Why have they changed to? Why did they give up on a? What's going on with all of that?
Oh, right. Well, let's an exclusive scoop. We would never. Waitrose was never part of Ocado. It was just we supplied the food to Ocado. We then decided that our own .com operations, I suppose, were going off of through the roof, and we didn't need Ocado anymore.
Ah.
So we've got our own .com business. We do it all ourselves, even though people to this day still think I'm an Ocado driver.
You're actually a real You're very posh then. A posh guy.
Yeah. Well, if only you knew the truth.
Are you actually one of the people who physically takes it to the door?
Yeah. I've got my little van, and off I go and look after my own little customers and community.
Then
and
you're really important. So thank you for all the work that you did for everybody.
There you go.
Bless you. Thank you very much, Gabby.
No, I really mean it. I think, we all, and quite rightly, applauded the NHS staff, but all you guys, if it hadn't been for all of you lot, can you imagine? I mean, everybody who couldn't get out, my dad who's in his 80s, thank you. I really, really, really mean it. And also,
bless you. Well, it's a pleasure. I mean, it's still going on now. We're still full. We're still running at full capacity. And yeah.
I can't believe how rude. I always chat to the delivery drivers. We always stand there and have a good old natter. And when I think it was just easing out of the toughest part of lockdown, and we had a delivery, and I said, "Oh, how's your day been?" And he said, "It's been absolutely awful." I went, "Oh my God, why?" He said, "People are starting to be really rude to me again, and people telling him that the pandemic wasn't real, and that he said people were going, 'Get the fuck upstairs, come and to bring all the stuff in, just bring me my food. What are you doing leaving it at the doorstep? I don't want this.'" And he said people were being rude. He said in lockdown nobody was rude to him.
No, we went from heroes to zeros very quickly again.
That's horrible.
It's just, but that's, I mean, it just is what it is. When the roads got busy again, we were the burden, and it's
horrible.
Yeah.
I hope you were given a pay rise as well.
I wish they had as well.
Right, we're going to play a little game, Gabby, if that's okay. We're going to play Kerry or Curtain.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you a line of dialogue. You need to tell me if it was Kerry or Curtain.
My God, I'm not going to know this. Okay.
Well, you've got a 50-50 chance if you guess. Yeah. So here we go. This is number 1. We've got 5 altogether. That actually enrages me. Want to know why? Because there's not a human on this planet that looks like that.
Curtain.
It is. Do you know which episode?
No, but I can picture it. I don't know what they're called, though.
Right. That was the special. That was the court sketch he was looking at on the TV. Yes.
Yeah.
1 out of 1. Very good start. Number 2. If they don't make the effort with me, why should I actually make the effort with them?
Curtain.
That was Kerry. In the same episode, talking about her half-brothers to the vicar.
Oh, yes.
There you go. Question number 3. You eat that and I will smash this. You eat that and I will smash this.
Oh my God. Why I'm laughing is that my husband and I would say that. Oh my God. It was Kerry. Was it Kerry?
It was Kerry in Oven Space.
Yes.
When Curtin had that nub of cheese that he was about to eat.
The cheese.
Yeah, and she had the vase of flowers with no water in it for some reason. Question number 4. So what's that? 2 out of 3 so far. Doing well. Number 4. I'm not going to want to be sat on my room playing with Woody and Buzz.
Curtain.
It is Curtain, yes. That's the very last episode. We're talking about the vicar leaving. So that's 3 out of 4. So here's go for number 5. You're just bitter because you killed the chickens.
Oh, well, yes, it's Curtain. No. Oh, my God, it is Curtain. Yeah, it must be Curtain.
It is Curtain in your favourite episode, The Station.
Yeah.
That's 4 out of 5. Well done.
Well done. Very respectable.
Done. Very, very good.
Very respectable.
So we did speak about the future of this country. Now, in the works, and we've said for a few weeks now, is the US version. How do you feel about that? Are you happy they're going to do an American version of this country?
I'm very happy for Daisy and Charlie. No, it's funny. I mean, I have to say, I know I've mentioned The Office before. I'm not a massive Office fan, and I watched a couple of the American ones. I just think the humor is different. If it's going to be made completely with the American humor, and I love American humor, so don't get me wrong. I just love ours. I love the way it is. I do. I love, like I've said, to me, it's 5 stars. So, would I watch the American one? Probably not. Am I pleased for Charlie and Daisy? Yes, because I think it's going to be great for them and their futures and writing for elsewhere.
Okay.
Sounds
So,
like... Sorry.
Shut up, stranger. I don't know who you are. A couple of other things. You worked with Terry Wogan quite a lot.
Yeah, for 11 years.
How was it? That was on Children in Need.
Yeah, we did Children in Need for 11 years, and we did a show called Terry and Gaby Show on Channel 5 for a year. And he was the master. He was a naughty bugger, though. He really was. He was that real twinkle in his eye. And but I work with the TV greats, really, with Chris and with Terry, and so I'm very lucky, actually, very, very lucky. And he is so I remember getting that phone call on the Sunday morning, and I do a Sunday afternoon radio show. I've been doing it for 11 years. And no, I haven't. I've been doing it for 8 years. I lie. Working with Terry was 11 years. I've been doing it for 8 years. And I got a phone call from the boss in the morning, and I thought it was weird. He was ringing, and I went, hi. And he said, I'm really sorry, but Terry Wogan has died. And I was completely floored. And he said, if we understand if you don't want to come in. I went, oh my God, Terry would have killed me. He used to say, it's not brain surgery. You're this is television, it's radio. What do you mean? You're not, go in. And so I went in, and I, all the papers wanted quotes, and I wasn't going to do that. So I was very lucky to be able to do it on a live show to say how I felt and how sad it was.
So when you're doing something like Children in Need, which obviously has a bit more of a somber undertone, if you like, is that harder to do as a live show than, say, something like The Big Breakfast?
No, because you've got to be able to know. I think all shows, even on The Big Breakfast, we had light and shade, and I think that's really important. I think people don't want wah 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 all the time, and I think in the same way, you just with a charity show, the reason that Terry and I were there was to guide the show through raising money, telling people about the charity work that it did. It's amazing work. And the thing about Children in Need is every single penny of every pound went to the kids. And so, no, they're just very different shows, really, very different.
I did have a question, but it was a This Country question, Gaby, again.
Go on.
You talked about how much you want this country to come back and how you'd love another series. Is there any scenarios you'd like to see?
Oh, blimey. I don't want Vicar to go. Don't want him to move. He's got to come back. I know so many actors and friends and comedians who want to be in it, and I don't want them to be. And I've said it to them as well. So go away. No, this is their show. Any scenarios that I want? No. Lots of people say they want to see the mum. I don't. Well, obviously we can't, but we know. Everyone knows that it's Daisy, but I don't want to see her. No,
I've always said if you did see her, Gaby, it should only be her feet, like on Tom and Jerry, where you saw the maid's feet shuffle past. That should be it.
I don't even want to see that. Because I think she probably's got she's got dirty feet.
Yeah. They're like slabs of spam, apparently, aren't they? My other question I was going to ask is, with all the people that you've interviewed over the years, is there anybody left that you really, really, apart from Charlie, that you would really, really love to interview?
Yeah. One I've just interviewed, so I can't say that yet.
Right.
We're about to announce it, and it's very exciting. So I've interviewed her, but I do have 2 others. One is Oprah Winfrey, and the other is Desmond Tutu. And most of the movie stars that you see, and I'm very lucky to have interviewed most of them. That was it, really. Desmond Tutu and Oprah Winfrey. So if you know them, could you share me their numbers, and I'm happily.
Of course we will.
We've got Desmond Tutu on next week, so what I'll do is
Lovely.
I'll WhatsApp him, and I'll.
Do you know why? I think he is weirdly. I mean, I put an Instagram picture of one of his quotes out today. I think that there are some really good people, amazingly good people. I have to say, somebody else that I think is wonderful is Ashley Banjo. I think. Marcus Rashford, some extraordinary people. I think there are a lot of people out there at the moment who are doing good. And I think there's a lot that I want to know more about that, where it comes from. I think Oprah's always fascinated me. I think she's incredible. Somebody asked me the other day as well, would anybody over here, because everybody I seem to choose is English. Is American. I keep saying all these Americans because I was also saying, I'd love to interview Michelle Obama, and but actually, who I also like. I'm sorry, going off because I'm suddenly thinking about it.
No, carry on.
I'd like to interview some of the really old great actors that I want their stories. All the young. Up and coming people I love to interview as well, but some of the real great, Eddie Redmayne I've interviewed now a number of times, but he's a delight to interview, and so all of that lot I adore chatting to them. But some of the real old greats, I want to say the name of that person, but I can't. But I have interviewed that person, but before they don't have this. Can't share the stories anymore. I think we forget too quickly. I think we go on to the new hot young thing. But also Bradley Cooper, but that's a whole other reason.
Right.
Sorry, that was very waffly. I do apologize.
No, that's exactly what you wanted. Neil, any more questions, Neil?
I was just going to say, the only reason you want to interview Bradley Cooper is he's got a surprisingly good singing voice. Is that why, Gabby?
Might be one of the reasons. In fact, we had Bradley Cooper in my wedding vows.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yep. Not him. I mean, he wasn't actually there. That would have been weird.
Yeah. No. Now it's just what context Bradley Cooper was in your wedding vows.
That I had to say that my husband had to say in his wedding vows that he would let me discuss the Bradley Cooper once a week and George Clooney once a month, and I was going to be allowed to play a Barry Manilow track once. I was only going to give me one a year.
one Barry Manilow track a year.
Yeah, but don't worry, I snuck it into our wedding and he didn't even realise. He was so drunk he was dancing away. And I
have to ask,
that's
which
Barry
one?
Manilow.
Yeah, which one?
Well, what do you think?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Barry Manilow has written some amazing songs. Copacabana.
It had to be, but it was a wedding. Everybody out and dancing. Yeah.
Of course. Oh, we love a bit of Bazza, don't we?
Absolutely, yeah.
We love a bit of Bazza. Well, Gabby, I want to thank you for doing us the honour of being able to tick off one of our bucket lists.
Oh,
yes.
You've made my day.
So now I think we're down to 6 on our bucket list.
Who's on there? Who else?
Oh, I don't know whether I should say live on air. Well, we've got Dawn French, Jennifer Saunders, Kathy Burke, Dermot O'Leary. Who else is there?
Russell
Brand, Jack Whitehall. I think that's it. For the 6 at the moment.
And obviously, why on earth did you put me in with them? Those are all comedy geniuses.
Because it's people that we want to talk to, people that we respect, and people that we've been fans of. You see.
Oh.
So there you go.
I thought you'd say Chris. Isn't that funny? I thought you'd say Chris Evans.
I mean, yeah, Chris. But the thing is, they've got to be. We know that those 6 are fans of this country. And the thing is, like you say, you've got actor friends that are fans of this country. I would love to know who they are because I can pester them on Twitter. Maybe we'll talk after we've gone, or you can put it in a good word for us or something, because we want to try and get into 200 episodes. But Gabby, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Gabby. And if you ever find yourself in the Cotswolds and want to drink in the Keepers, do let us know.
I love the Cotswolds. I absolutely love it. Which part are you in?
Cirencester.
Cirencester.
Oh, you're actually there. You're in Cirencester.
We are, yes, indeed. We are the home of this country, if you like.
Lovely. Oh,
Yes.
how lovely. Well, send it my love.
Well, we'll do. Thank you very much, everybody. And
just before we go, we've got a few details quickly put out. Sorry, Gabby, be with you in a sec. You can find us on all the social medias under This Country Pod. Please do come and give us a click and a like. You can email us if you've got any questions and anything you'd like to know about the show, WTAF@hotmail.com. And also do please check out our website where you can get tickets for our final live show at WTAFpodcast.com.
Wonderfully said, Neil, and well remembered. I completely forgot. And come and subscribe to the podcast, obviously on Apple Podcasts and everywhere else you get podcasts. And come and support the podcast at patreon.com/WTAF. Thank you once again, Gabby.
Thank you, Gabby.
So I have to ask you a question.
Yes.
Neil, what on earth were you just drinking?
What, here? That is for my sins, Vimto.
I thought so. Oh my God.
It's my little, that's my guilty pleasure. I absolutely love Vimto. Sugar-free Vimto, of course.
Yeah, of course it is. That is so funny. I thought you were drinking red wine out of a plastic bottle.
If people know me, they would find that a shock. I don't actually drink.
Oh, right. Well, there we go. I'm not a non-drinker. Good for you.
There you go. And on that bombshell, we shall say thank you very much, everybody, and go and get plumbed, you fuckers.
Scarecrow Festival is like the most important day of the year. Daft Cow?
This is just ridiculous. What the actual fuck?